Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we're going to take a look at the significant astrological energies of November 2023 as we move into the 11th month of the year, which is still pulsing with eclipse energies. We have the 1111 portal. We will see Saturn station direct at 0 degrees of Pisces. We also have strong energies this month between the Scorpio Taurus astrological axis, and then the energies are going to focus on the Sagittarius and Pisces energies. So there is a lot coming up this month that's actually bringing you to a deeper trust in what you really want, in what you really need, in your emotions and your intuitive messages. There is energy here that is guiding you to trust yourself more, to trust the universe more, work with these universal energies with a renewed sense of hope and trust. And we're also moving into new realizations that we're ready to honor and accept, and then make choices and actions from those realizations. November still has strong eclipse energies as we will be moving through the eclipse cycle through most of this month, and even the Scorpio New Moon is eclipsy, and that happens on November 13th. So with these energies, you could still feel an instability, that maybe some things are erratic and they can feel more extreme. You could feel like you're really being pulled or pushed in multiple places within yourself, and that something is coming up for you to see in a new way. And it's interesting because I feel this energy as a very dense taffy, like a very tight putty or taffy. Maybe it could even be a hardened tar energy that needs to loosen up, that needs to expand. And I feel it stretching across the body. I feel it energetically moving. I'm seeing it across the chest, and I feel it as something that you're meant to loosen up, lighten up, set yourself free from something in yourself, in your world, in your environment that ultimately no longer reflects what is your rising truth. And November is a month of really tapping into more of that rising truth, to trust it and to further integrate your intuition. Because I'm seeing this as a rising of energies that definitely help our ascension, but also bring up what we've been afraid to trust, where we've held back parts of ourselves, parts of our needs, or parts of our energy, where perhaps there's something within you that is getting louder and louder, similar to the whispers from the soul that start off softly and then continue to increase in volume until you have a megaphone to your ear with spirit giving you something that you've known all along. And that's an interesting energy here where there's something that you could finally trust and you could finally say, I got it. I get it. Great. Yes. Okay. Kind of this, is this true? Is this real? Is this for me? Is this what I want? You could have a lot of back and forth internally, but there's something rising up in November that is giving you a message that your soul has already known. Your soul has already been sending you information or synchronicities. Your soul has been speaking to you, and depending on how you work with energy and how you receive messages, maybe you've already got it loud and clear, or there's something that you've been resisting or pushing away. And this can be a month where it comes front and center. This could be a month. It's interesting. Sometimes the clarity doesn't come until a loss occurs. A loss, an ending, a completion. That is part of Scorpio energy. And it's almost like there could be a realization this month of something you really want, something you didn't realize was possible, something that is now available to you because you broke a cycle. And the eclipse energies that have been powerfully coming up in October are pushing you to break a cycle, to gift yourself with more of your evolutionary process, to see it as an empowerment, to see it as something you're doing because you deserve it. You are that valuable. You are worthy of having and experiencing what you truly want, what your heart truly desires, and what your energy truly needs. And yet we have a strong energy in the first half of November between the Scorpio and Taurus access points. And that's because we have Jupiter retrograde in Taurus, moving from 10 to 7 degrees. We also have Uranus retrograde in Taurus, moving from 21 to 20 degrees. And with those two planets in Taurus, we're going to have oppositional energies with the Sun in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio, Mars in Scorpio. So these two areas of your chart are being heavily activated in November. The Taurus and Scorpio placements, planets, houses in your chart are creating a push and pull between what you want, what you need, what you know you're worthy of. And this energy cycle has been especially potent since the Scorpio-Taurus eclipses started in early 2022. So for a year and a half, something has been coming up that maybe you've been facing or struggling with. You've had to look at. It's really uncomfortable. It's big. It's intense. It could be these significant roller coasters of energies, of emotions. And something about November is asking you to consider, what do you want to choose now? Where have you held yourself back? Where have you felt like you've been in perhaps a straitjacket, or you've been a prisoner of a fear, or held by something that you've been afraid to move through? This could be a month of breaking out of this, especially based on these eclipse energies that we've already had, where we haven't been able to remain comfortable. You haven't been able perhaps to find that true peace, that true calm, that port in the storm. It's been a lot that's been moving through, stirred up, really revealing even more of what basically needs to go. And Scorpio is such an interesting astrological energy because there is what we would think of as a loss. Something has to end and close out. Something needs to be complete. And this could be something, again, you're very aware of. This could be something that you're afraid to release your grasp on, especially if the fear is really big or overpowering. And what this month wants to gift you with is internal calm and trust in your own ascension journey as you continue to go into unknown places. And as I say that, my spirit guides, my intuitive team, are showing me an electrical panel in a house, in a building, the panel that you open, and it has all of the switches to turn the electricity and the power on and off in the home, in the building. They're showing me this panel, and they're showing me all of the switches turning off, all the energy, the power, the electricity being shut off. And this is meant to be a symbolic way to say, turn off everything that is too much stimuli, that's pulling you outside of yourself, that's distracting you. Turn everything off and sit in what could appear to be the darkness of truth, where you no longer have the ability to rely on your eyesight or touch. You're sitting in something that is removing all other visuals and stimuli. And now with the removal of these influences, what do you really feel? What do you really sense? What are you picking up on in your intuition and in your emotional body that you're meant to tune into and trust? When everything else is taken away, when you are sitting in the energy of yourself, eyes closed, lights out, your phone is on mute, so you can't pick up your phone or look at anything. What are you really feeling? And they're showing me this example as a way to come back into yourself and hear what your soul is guiding you towards or revealing to you. But it can also be scary because there could be something so unknown, because that's part of this ascension journey. As we continue up the spiral, we go to new places in ourselves, new places in our energy and in our potential that we haven't experienced yet. And that's part of what the eclipses have triggered, are these cycle breakers. Oh my gosh, I just made the connection between the electrical panel and breaking the cycle breakers, and how that's the same energy. All right, so there could be something that shuts down for you because Spirit is returning you to yourself, to your intuitive wisdom, to your emotional messages, and wants you to move the energy from the mind. So drop the energy down from the mind into, I'm seeing the heart and the gut. I'm also seeing the emotional body and the intuition. And it wants to move the energy out of what they're calling mind control. Yes, I know there's a lot of energy around mind control these days, but this is at a personal level. And this is moving out of the mind, moving out of the ego, dropping into what you're feeling and sensing that can be hard to describe, which is part of Scorpio energy. And then there's something where I'm seeing the lights go on suddenly, like that realization, that breakthrough, that understanding, maybe something shocking that comes to light. But it's a reset in the frequencies. It's a reset in your own energy field that now connects to a deeper knowingness. And this energy is strong through most of November because it is connected to these eclipse energies, and it's also connected to the Scorpio New Moon on November 13th, which directly opposes Uranus retrograde in Taurus at 21 degrees. So we have an exact opposition between the sun and the moon and Uranus, and this is eclipse energy. Eclipse is the technical term, of course, but there's something here that you could even shock yourself with. And I feel this as that completion cycle where, it's like turning off the lights. It ends a cycle. Something is over. And then the lights go back on and there's renewal, refresh, revitalization that can show up and give you some kind of validation, evidence. Something comes through as clear proof of what you were feeling, of what you were sensing. And the energy here is upgrading your personal value and your self-worth, but it's really intense and messy. And it's like it can pull you into those dungeons and those really uncomfortable fears that you're wrestling with or moving between, and you don't know what to do with it. And so there's something about coming into that peaceful place that your soul knows. Your soul knows the way. Your soul is directing you through the darkness. Your soul is showing you and revealing more of what's possible, but you had to get out of your own damn way. How often do we get in our own way? You have to get out of your own way. You have to step aside from the normal programming or mental messages. You have to step aside from what you're perceiving as controlled safety and understand that there is more here that is supporting you if you allow it, if you're willing to trust it, if you're willing to open up to those parts of your own energy field and those messages from your soul. And this is going to be something too that can happen fast. It's like you bust out of a fear. Maybe you're working through it at very deep levels of your being and you wake up feeling like, wow, that cleared out. Oh, wow, that's gone. I've really done a lot of work here. And you probably didn't realize that you were doing the work across multiple lifetimes and multiple dimensions of time. And that's why the energy can feel so dense. It's like it's not of this time and place. There could be things that you're wrestling with that aren't about your current life experiences, but you have agreed at a soul level to work through them in this lifetime and then to set yourself free. And so the rising realizations can give you a new sense of freedom, can open you up to new perspectives, new ways of living your life and understanding your energy. But it requires the ability to be courageous and brave, to sit in the discomfort and to sit in the energies that are pressuring you into a direction. I'm just seeing this squeeze. It's like a really tight squeeze of energy. I mean, you could even see it as trying to thread a needle, where it just feels like there's a tightening of something that the universe is directing you towards, because it's part of your own ascension journey. And it's part of a deeper soul promise. I'm hearing soul promise to yourself that you want more. You want better. You want the upgrade. And we can say all that, right? We can say more about what we desire, what we want. We can understand mentally what we believe we're worth. But there's an energy shift here that puts you into fuller alignment with what you really need, that maybe you've been holding back from yourself, holding back part of your truth, holding back because of a fear. And that's where we have to get out of our own way in order to allow that energy to come forward. And you could even feel like you go back and forth between two ends of the seesaw or the teeter-totter, where you're deeply in the Scorpio energies and then you're deeply in the Taurus energies. That's just part of November, is that there is this back and forth that's giving you a contrast. And that contrast can provide clearer decision making. That contrast can have a lot of wisdom around, okay, I did this, or yes, I went there, or I tried this, or I experienced that. What is a better fit? What is truer for me? And whatever you're choosing, the universe is right there, supporting you every step of the way, showing you and validating that yes, you can have this. Yes, you're ready to level up, but you have to choose it. But you've got to choose it from your truth and not from a fear. Choose it from a truth, not from a fear. Now, as November gets started, on November 4th, Saturn stations direct at 0 degrees of Pisces. So here's Saturn at the very beginning point of Pisces, where it was back in March. So you could look back at March of this year when Saturn first entered Pisces and look at what are you revisiting? What are you understanding now? Where have you been tested or challenged, which are Saturn words? Saturn in Pisces is helping us take responsibility for our idealism and where we've been out of touch. Saturn in Pisces is showing us how our energy is really operating. Are you truly walking the talk? Are you truly living with your spiritual principles? Are you committed to the Pisces energies that are about opening us up to what's beyond the physical? But Saturn is the physical. So we have this interesting relationship here with Saturn and Pisces, where we're being grounded in to newer frequencies. We're really perhaps feeling energies more openly, more freely, more regularly. And Saturn is saying, well, how are you going to live with these frequencies? How are you applying them? And are you trusting them? Saturn is also about boundaries. And so Saturn brings in the boundaries of energies and requires decision making, which the Pisces energy can push away. Pisces can procrastinate. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to look at that. I'll think about that next year. And Saturn is saying, actually, it's front and center right now, because now is the time. Now is the time to assess what has unfolded for you since March of this year that you're coming to see in a new way, in a more mature way, in a new enlightened way. I feel that Saturn in Pisces is supporting our enlightenment process, but that's going to look different in your everyday physical world, depending on what you've been learning through the Pisces energies and themes. Now, in November, we have what I'm calling the Pisces gatekeepers, because here is Saturn at 0 degrees of Pisces at the front gate of Pisces. And then we have Neptune retrograde at 24 and 25 degrees of Pisces. So Neptune is at the back gate. And as the planets enter Sagittarius this month, which I'll get to in just a moment, they're each going to have a square to Saturn the gatekeeper at 0 degrees of Pisces, and then they're going to have a square to Neptune retrograde in Pisces before they move on. So we have some decisions that need to be made this month that are going to require change, adaptability, and perhaps not going with your first choice or what you thought would be a good option. So Mercury enters Sagittarius November 9th. The Sun enters Sagittarius November 22nd. And Mars enters Sagittarius November 24th. So what begins in November is taking those realizations you've had from eclipse season, tuning into what it means to live more from your truth, to trust yourself more. And now you're ready to make some new decisions based on those insights, based on your intuitive wisdom. And this energy is about changes that are actually better for you, even if there is disappointment, or even if there's something that falls away or ends because of where you're going next. And that's part of the dialogue between the Sagittarius energies and Pisces. Sagittarius is mutable fire. It loves change and variety. There's a restlessness with Sag. There's a desire to move and seek and understand. There's an upliftment here, excitement to get going, excitement for movement, and to see the bigger picture. But as each planet makes a square to Saturn and Neptune and Pisces, there's something that you're ready to surrender. Ready or not, you're ready to surrender. And chances are you're already aware of that. It's already been an understanding or a possibility you've considered. There's something that needs to leave in order to set you free. There's something that, again, you're like, oh, wow, this is surprising. I didn't think it would be this. I didn't think I'd have to say this or do this. But in fact, when I do, it brings relief. It brings in new expansion. You could also feel that you've disappointed others, perhaps. There could be a sense of, when you hold back certain news or developments or announcements because of how it may be perceived or received, but for the long term, it's the right choice, the right direction, the right option. So this is a theme that actually goes into December as well, because it is part of Sagittarius season and Sagittarius energies, but it starts here in November as we have Mercury, the Sun, and Mars enter Sagittarius, square that Saturn who's standing guard at 0 degrees of Pisces and is requiring you to check in with what is truly essential. And again, this is where there could be a surrender. Maybe it's a surrender of expectations, which is a Sagittarius word. Sagittarius can expect the best. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be the best trip ever. And there can be a lot of hyperbole. There can be a lot that is exaggerated. And then it's out of touch, perhaps with other details, other particulars that are important. It can also be out of touch with what someone else wants or other people need. So this is going to be a time to temper your expectations, to stay in the flow, to trust that this is just going to change and look different, but I'm good. I'm going to handle it well. It can play out even better. It could show me what I've been holding or carrying that's too heavy, that's too much, that is actually weighing me down, and I didn't realize it. And Saturn in Pisces requires you to empty your pockets, to take off your backpack or your purse, to put everything out on the table and to look at what is acceptable and what's needed. And so the realizations of this month can put you on a new path, can change the course of something that you thought was certain and clear. It could also show you that you're better off with less. You're better off doing less or being committed to less or not having as much in front of you. But that could be a challenge and that can be disappointing as well. So we're going to have to remain strong in our emotional body this month. And by remaining strong, that can mean different things for everyone. I mean, sometimes being strong is crying, letting it flow, letting it move through you, letting it be something you authentically feel. Where other times you could just feel a strength in the long-term perspective, where maybe right now there's something that you have to let go of that's being removed, that is being removed by universal order, the universe is taking it out of your control or out of your hands. And for the short term, that can be a hard knock. But for the long term, there's something else that's meant to come through, that's meant to develop and build because of that void. And this could even be something that you start to conceive and perceive in a new way with the Gemini full moon at the end of November. November 27th, the Gemini full moon is at 5 degrees, which means it will be squaring that Saturn in Pisces. So there's something that you know is no longer connected with you or to you. It's sort of like there's something that you've already been feeling or energetically aware of, and maybe you've been just holding on as long as you can, or you've been trying to grasp it. Let me just see where this goes. Maybe it will change. Maybe it will shift. And yes, it will. It will shift and change this month, and it could evolve into something even better, but it does require your flexibility. It does require you to release whatever version of it you thought it would be. This is where new versions emerge, new experiences, new things come to light that are meant to be reflections of your new frequency. So whatever is transpiring, it's because it's validating how you've grown in all of your energy fields, in all of your energy frequencies. It's showing you that it's actually okay to close something out. It's okay to complete a chapter and be done. In fact, again, it's universal order. It's divine timing. Endings are divine timing. Saturn is connected with the timing of our lives, the timing of our days. Saturn is connected with what we have time to take care of, how we use our energy. And in Pisces, there's something that we're understanding, could be multiple things, in fact, that you're realizing, I was doing this for many good reasons, and now I'm outgrowing it. My energy is changing. I understand that it's okay to set myself free from something, because the void of Pisces season leads to the rebirth and new beginnings that come about when the energies start to move into Aries as well. Now, Saturn doesn't move into Aries until 2025, but this is where there's things you're already aware of that you can trust the changes, trust the release, trust that whatever these eclipses activated for you or brought front and center or revealed are parts of the universal roadmap, that it's going this way. We're going in this direction. You are going in this direction. And there's also going to be a buoyancy with this, because after the planet squares Saturn, then they could just feel free and clear. There could be a sense of relief. You could just feel grateful for what you emptied out of your pockets. You could feel like, wow, I didn't realize that was holding me down, or I was really intensely involved in that, or something felt like this giant obligation that you had to stay committed to, you had to see through, you had to. And the universe is like, actually, you don't have to anymore. So keep in mind, this is a general theme, and trust it if it resonates, and don't make it fit if it doesn't. But this is going to be a month where, again, the realizations you have can lead you to relief, to greater freedom, to a sense of new possibilities, and to an opening into what can transpire next. Now, another main theme of November 2023 is that we're going to see Mars and the Sun traveling together in Scorpio and into Sagittarius. They will be conjunct November 16th and 17th at 24 degrees of Scorpio. And when they are exactly conjunct, the middle of the month, they trine Neptune in Pisces, Neptune retrograde in Pisces at 24 degrees. And there are some big downloads here, some big intuitive messages, some perhaps answers. And I'm seeing it as a deeper reprogramming in the physical body, but there's something that could even clear out. Almost like this huge purge of energy when a truth, a realization locks in. So the Sun conjunct Mars amplifies that energy of Mars to go for it, to do it, to make moves, to take action. It's a passionate desire. It's a sense of this is what I have to do. This is what I have to have. It's very energizing. And that's because also in Scorpio, there is conviction and there is a no holds barred approach to going for something. So that's an intense energy day, November 16th and 17th. Then as they trine this Neptune retrograde in Pisces, there's an awareness that you can trust what you're moving towards. You can trust the actions you want to take. You could feel even like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I have to do it. I don't know why I'm going to move in this direction or why my body is directing me towards something. It's almost like this overwhelming energetic push to move something forward that's bigger than you. And Neptune is connected to the frequency of your higher self. Neptune is now talking loudly to that solar consciousness and that Mars consciousness around what is true for you. There's a lot of willpower here. In fact, there's a lot of power, but I feel it's actually sourced from something that is soul-based, higher self-based, even directly connected to your God self. It's based on something that you're just feeling, I have to do this. Even if I don't understand logically why, there could be a lack of reasoning, even a feeling of, is this rational? And the bigger energy is like the universe is just saying, just go for it. Just move in this direction. Just trust yourself. And this will also highlight if you're operating from trusting what you're feeling, trusting your intuition, or if you're operating from a fear. Because Sun conjunct Mars in Scorpio can be violent. It can be abrasive and very restless and reckless. And again, it can even be such an intensification of emotional energy that you've got to do something with it and you don't even know what. You just have to do something. And then after this conjunction, both the Sun and Mars in Scorpio will sextile Pluto in Capricorn at 28 degrees. Throughout the month of November, Pluto is at 28 degrees of Capricorn for the last time in your life. And there's another download of determination, ambition. I've got to take care of this. I've got to see this through. I have to do something. This could rev up your soul purpose energy. This could show you, I have to go in this direction. And there could be, again, a sense of no holds barred. This is what's true for me. So there is intense energy right before we move into Sagittarius season with the Sun and Mars in Scorpio directing you forward in ways that can be hard to understand, but that's where the energy is pulling you or directing you and speaking very loudly. The Sun enters Sagittarius November 22nd, and then Mars enters Sagittarius November 24th. So here the Sun and Mars are still traveling together in Sagittarius, but now they're in the fire signs of action. Now they are inspired and they're ready to go further than they've gone before. And that's part of the Sagittarius energy where you're ready to expand into new territory. You're ready to look beyond what you've known before. And there's something here that also could feel like a full stop. Because remember, both the Sun and Mars are going to have a square to Saturn in Pisces at 0 degrees, the gatekeeper. And that's where there is a full stop, a checking in on where are you going? What are you doing? Do you have what you need? This can feel like a halting energy that dampens the enthusiasm that is kind of like such a bummer. Like I had all this great momentum and now I feel like I just got to hang out here for a minute. But that is also a beautiful gift from the universe if you choose to see it in that light where, okay, I do need to pause and be clear on my intentions, be clear on why I'm doing what I'm doing. And that's part of the energy of the Sun and Mars in Sagittarius, where it's not just about taking off in any direction or doing whatever you want to do, or perhaps stirring things up to demonstrate more of who you are and what you're about. No, there's a responsibility here, but I feel this responsibility comes from your soul, comes from your higher self, where it's like, okay, now before you take off with this new truth, this new realization, this new sense of self, now that the lights are back on, after maybe you felt like you were sitting in the dark or in the dungeon, what are you doing that really serves you long term? That's what Saturn cares about. What are you doing that has long-term payoffs or long-term consequences or karma? What are you doing? Because the Saturn in Pisces wants you to do it differently, wants you to operate from greater spiritual awareness and energetic awareness, and to connect that to your belief systems, which is Sagittarius. And so there is a realignment here that focuses on greater intentionality, an understanding of the bigger picture. It's about being more energetically aware of what you're doing, what you're choosing, where you're going, but you might have to unload some things first. You might have to get rid of something, as Saturn the gatekeeper shows you what is no longer in your best and highest good. And so again, this energy will be the strongest November 22nd, 23rd, 24th. And there could be a slowdown where you just feel like, oh my gosh, I want this to move. I'm over this slowdown. Let's just go for it. But it's like being forced to stand in a line when you just want to take off and run. I feel too like part of this energy with Saturn in Pisces is that it's meant to be a checking in and a listening. Are you listening to your soul? Are you listening to the wisdom you've accumulated? Are you aware of the way previous choices or decisions have played out? Because Saturn does keep that tally. Saturn is aware of how things have played out previously and is asking you, are you repeating a cycle here, or did you break that cycle? Are you in alignment with a belief system that brings you closer to your God self, that brings you closer to your soul and to God? Are you really living from a place of intentional truth and purpose and awareness? Or are you just doing the zoomies? I'm seeing zoomies, dog running around a coffee table. And then after the Sun and Mars square that Saturn in Pisces, they are free to go. But then it could feel like you're ready to do it differently. You're ready to look at something in a new light, in a new way, as a reflection of your own growth, as a reflection of your own consciousness and what you've been learning, which is also part of Sagittarius. It's the wisdom you've accumulated through lived experiences, the things you've actually been through, what you have experienced, what you have chosen, where you have gone. What has that shown you? What have you learned from that? And that will be part of Sagittarius season as we move into December. So as I mentioned, this is just an overview of the energies of the month as I'm receiving and perceiving them for us. On every Wednesday, we will talk more about each of these energies more specifically, including the dates and more of the transiting aspects on a weekly basis. But I hope this gives you a heads up and an insight into what you are choosing as eclipse energies continue to roll through. Eclipse energies are meant to shift and change us. They bring about surprises and new directions. They bring about openings and closures. They show us how we're living our life. And if it's really what we want, are we in the best possible connection with our soul? Are we truly honoring and listening to our intuition? Are we aware that the universe sees us? The universe sees your desires and sees your fears, sees your truth and sees your experiences, but also honors your free will, honors your sovereignty, because there are people who will not be changing during this eclipse energy. There are people who will not choose change, who don't want it, who aren't interested. There are people who are not even lined up for any kind of spiritual growth. They're like hard pass, not interested in any of that nonsense. This is my lifetime to be completely unconscious and unaware. And that's important to understand because there are plenty of individuals who are not ascending in this lifetime, who didn't sign up for a spiritual path who aren't even interested in energetics, much less astrology. But this is something that we really have to accept. And then what do you choose that's best for yourself? Where do you need to trust your path? Go your own way. Honor what is true for you, because I can guarantee you that there are millions of people doing the same, and that there are people you're going to meet along the way who are of a same vibration, who have the same passions and interests, even if you're not able to see or conceptualize that now. And one other quick thing to mention is that Venus enters Libra in November, specifically November 8th. And if you'll recall, Venus has been the ruling planet of the two eclipses in October. So here she enters into an energy that she's comfortable in, that she's strong in. She enters into Libra and she starts to smooth over some of those triggered and out of balance energies of eclipse season. She comes through and she's savvy and she's kind, she's smart, she's aware. She wants to make people's experiences better. She wants to talk about it. So as Venus enters Libra, there's things that might finally smooth over, that might improve your connections, your relationships. She's now going to be the only planet in Libra, and she's also going to bring in some new solutions and new ways of addressing eclipse issues that could feel like it's the best solution, or you finally have a really good conversation with somebody to clear the air. Or maybe there's something that improves in the Libra areas of your chart once Venus is there. So that will be a positive shift. Again, that happens November 8th. So we'll be talking about all these energies every Wednesday in my weekly podcast. We will look at more of the specifics, more of what's coming up, but I hope this gives you an informative and helpful overview of the energies of the month, and also validation that yes, there's things you're meant to just be sitting in, and you could feel like you're sitting in the dark. You could feel like everything has been turned off so that you can come back into your energy, your truth, what is showing up for you, what is coming through that maybe you wouldn't otherwise acknowledge or hear. November is still eclipsy, and we move through the 1111 portal, which I always feel is an up-leveling of frequencies and definitely supports our ascension journey and how we're ready to power up in some way, power up to your next level, your next energy, your next frequency, and your soul is right there supporting you along the way. Also important to note that we are now done with the Taurus Scorpio eclipses. So that could be a welcome relief to planets in Scorpio and Taurus, as well as in the fixed signs, including Leo and Aquarius. And there could be something that you've realized and have been required to shift and change that's been difficult simply because of how the fixed signs don't want change unless they choose it. And so you could have been resisting a part of your own growth in this previous eclipse cycle. Now we move more fully into the Aries Libra eclipses that we'll be moving through in 2024. And it is important to understand what these nodes of fate are opening up for you, including what has your name on it, what connects you with a new chapter, a new start, a new beginning that's right on time, what is revealing more about your skills and who you are now, how you're here to be in your own personal courage and self-leadership. This is the energy of choosing yourself that could feel uncomfortable at times, but it is the universal assignment. And so I talk about this more in my Nodes of Fate online program. It's only $22 and it has so much information that helps you tune into what you are moving into that the universe knows is correct for you and is right on time. So please check out that program so that you have a heads up on not only what you are experiencing at a personal level, but you can work with it. You can say yes. You can see that some things are fated and destined with these energies. And when you're aware of that, you're tuning into that higher consciousness where you can trust this is for me. This is correct. This is what I need to do. I'll put the link to that program below this podcast. And keep in mind, you don't just have to have planets in Aries or Libra. This is designed for everyone to see where the nodes of fate are opening up new opportunities that you are perhaps destined for, that you are perhaps ready for, and maybe you just need a little bit of a push to trust it as well. So do check out that program because I hope it helps you take advantage of the opportunities that the universe is bringing your way. You can find all of my programs and courses at mollymccord.online, where I have a variety of astrology offerings as well as business development courses as well, since so many of you are really stepping into your gifts as a healer, a guide, an entrepreneur. You're ready for this new chapter in yourself, and I really hope that I can support you on that part of your path. I'll be back every Monday and Wednesday with a new podcast episode. Thank you so much for joining me. Please check out my YouTube channel where you'll find a ton of videos in the playlists. And also on Instagram and Facebook, I share other offerings and videos regularly as well. Have a beautiful month of November, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Take good care.